One morning, waking up, John discovered that his small town had been engulfed by a wave of chaos. The streets were deserted, and the air was filled with a strange, eerie smell. Approaching the window, he saw a group of people with their backs turned to him, slowly marching down the street, making eerie sounds. He realized that the town had been taken over by a zombie epidemic. Their eyes were empty, their skin pale and torn with ragged wounds. John knew that something terrible and inexplicable had invaded their world, turning everyone it touched into ruthless walking dead. Struggling to contain his panic, John understood that he had to fight for survival in this hell on earth. He gathered whatever he could, weapons, food, and stood to defend his home. With each passing day, the strength of the zombies grew, their numbers increased, and the city plunged deeper into chaos and destruction. John realized that the battle was not only for his life, but for the lives of all survivors. One day, while searching the surroundings, John came across a small group of survivors who were also trying to find shelter. Together, they decided to unite their efforts and fight against the zombies together. At night, when the city was plunged into darkness, the zombies launched an attack on their shelter. The battle was fierce, and John saw his friends falling one by one, falling under the blows of merciless enemies. But he was not going to give up, and when it seemed like all was lost, that they were defeated by hopelessness, John loaded the last bullet into his rifle, took an axe in his hand, and stepped onto the front line to fend off the full fury of the zombies. Amidst the screams and gunfire, he did not know if tomorrow would come. But John realized that in this fight for survival, he had found something important, a strength within himself capable of resisting the horror.
Under the moonlight, John fought off the menacing zombies, whose screams echoed through the streets like the music of nightmares. Arrows flew, axes gleamed, and blood was an inevitable trace on the asphalt. John's strength faltered, but the spark in his eyes did not extinguish. He cursed his enemies and fought for his life.
The group of survivors, surrounded by waves of the undead, despite the losses, steadfastly repelled the attacks. Each of them fought not for themselves, but for all those whose lives were threatened. Resolve shone in John's eyes. He knew this was not just a battle, but a fight for the future, for hope, for his friends. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, resembling a regular person, but his eyes were empty, and his steps resembled a dance of death. This was the zombie leader, a creature that controlled the others, spread terror, and incited chaos. John felt a wave of hatred and determination. He had to stop this monster. The battle was brutal and merciless. The metallic clang of weapons mixed with the cries and groans of the dying. John fought like never before, every muscle tense, every movement honed by the experience of fighting for survival. The whistle of a bullet cut through the air, and John saw the zombie leader die, collapsing to the ground, losing its vile power over its followers. The weapons fell silent, and John felt a sudden sense of victory. Silence deafened him, and he realized that this was not the end, but only the beginning of a new stage in the endless battle for survival.